Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Mylett and Nathan about season 10 of Letterkenny on Hulu. Thank you both for your time.
Thanks for having us. Great.
Nathan, you've been on the show a few times. Mylett, this is your first time on Popternative, so welcome.
Thanks. Yeah.
First question, are we ever going to figure out the core reason why Katie does not like Darryl?
Oh, you know what?
I'm sure you're asked that a lot, but
I don't think that's actually it. Here's what it is. So I have an older brother, and he's quite a bit older than me. And all of his friends growing up that were also quite a bit older, it's like a second brother who's kind of even more annoying because you're like, why are you in my house eating my food? It's that energy, right? So it's like the kind of the back and forth. And Darry has known Katie since she was a little baby girl. So they have this like very familiar back and forth. They can be completely themselves, and it's like a sibling relationship.
Yeah.
And and they get to kind of fuck with each other, right? Like I think it actually comes from deep family love. That's what I think.
It's so funny because I've interviewed a lot of the cast before, and every time someone said, like, if you ever interview Mylett, just ask her why Katie does not like Darryl so much.
No, it's love. It's love. It's real love, meaning it doesn't have to be nice all the time, right?
Nathan, do you agree with that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think what can be missed if you don't know the inner workings of a relationship on the surface, it can definitely seem like there's a lot of hate going on there. I think Michelle's exactly right. It's not that. It's actually deep-seated love, but it comes from a place of why the fuck are you here all the time, and why are we dealing with each other all the time? So
Get out of my kitchen.
Exactly. So it does come from a place of total love, but it's definitely like a sibling relationship where, yeah, you don't need to like each other all the time. You can kind of fucking despise them from time to time or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is absolute love, and there's nothing to it. It's like, I'll go to bat for her, she'll go to bat for me when the mitts are off. You know what I mean?
100%. No. And it was more when I asked that question, Michelle, it was more like a joke. Like, I knew you were going to say that, but I had to ask because that's something you see online all the time. 10 seasons of Letterkenny. Has it hit you both? Like, it's crazy.
It's bizarre because it feels like I'm like, no, we just started shooting yesterday. Like, what are you talking about? And it's just kind of mind blowing going back and like seeing how much work we've all done together at this point. But it still feels fresh. It still feels really fun, and it still feels like we have a lot more to achieve, which is also a really great feeling. We've got a tour coming up. We've got season 11 that we shot. That's going to be really there's still so much to be excited about after all this time. And it's kind of surreal.
It's amazing. And Nathan, my question to you, and I think this is credit to Jared and Jacob and everything, but you look at the 10 seasons of the show, you look at the ensemble cast and you look at everyone on the show character wise, everyone's got a really amazing kind of growth and arc in terms of where they go, what they do, who they kind of hang out with and everything. When do you start noticing that? Is it when like you're kind of 3-4 seasons in where it's becoming very popular and you're like, wow, like everyone's kind of, now we're stepping it up. We're giving all these kind of directions of growth. Like, when do you start noticing that? Or is it earlier?
I think it's something that you don't really, it's not something that you really look for, right? I think it's one of those things. Okay, I relate it to, like, if you're a fisherman, I like to fish, okay? So my thing is, when you're not thinking about catching the goddamn fish, that's when you catch the fish. So when you're not thinking, for me, when I'm not thinking about, like, the arc or my character's arc or anything like that, then it starts to become apparent going, oh, shit, look at this. This is really changing, and I'm becoming a different person, and it is going up and down and this kind of stuff. So for me, that's the big one. Is when you're not thinking about it, then it kind of becomes apparent. And then usually somebody brings it up and says, oh, check this out. This is something new for you. This is kind of cool. And then it becomes apparent. You go, oh shit, this is totally planned out. Number one, obviously, Jacob. But at the same time, when I start to realize that, say about Darryl, or I see it in another character, I'm just like, oh shit, this is really cool. You went from this to this to this, so that's very, very cool. So I don't always see it coming, but then when I see the arcs coming and stuff like that, oh, it's very, very cool. And to see that and to see how well it's mapped out. Oh man, very.
Sometimes the arc is not obvious all the time, too, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah.
Which is amazing. There, Michelle, it's interesting because obviously, it started in Canada on Crave. I was not surprised. I've talked to, Dylan and Andrew about this, and Nathan, I talked to you about this. Like when it kind of got announced on Hulu, like I wasn't surprised with the instant kind of reception. Like I knew it was going to do very well. Was that kind of an exciting moment to see where, you go from, a Canadian show that's instantly going to get way more kind of viewers right away? Like, what's that mindset like when you found out it was going to Hulu?
It was really exciting. Anytime something that you're a part of and that you're proud of gets the opportunity to have more eyes on it, it just is lucky. Like we all know that within our industry, right? You can be an incredible actor and just not luck into the right place, right time. And that happens to a lot of people. So yeah, it was really cool. I think when we first released the show and it was just existing on Canada, people in the States here and there were illegally getting it somehow or finding it or whatever. Their Canadian cousins were like telling them, putting them onto it. I don't know. And they would reach out to us and I was like, oh, that's so cool that like Americans are able to connect with this, even if they're not Canadian and they just think that we're a bunch of like weird wackos and they're getting a laugh. Like that's dope. And then to have a huge network like Hulu back us in that way. And they've been so incredible at like really pushing the show, even though it's a really odd show. It just is an odd show. And they just are so supportive and so lovely. And I think we all just feel like it's kind of incredible, the reception we've received so far. So,
and to add to that, Nathan, the fact that it doesn't have a shelf life in terms of the memes, the gifs, the quotes, I'm pretty sure, the cooking the steak, that scene kind of shows up like all the time on my feeds all the time with where's the S&P, like all that comes up all the time. Are you starting to kind of wrap your head around the fact that like dairy scenes are not going anywhere pretty much? They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff to see people take a scene that we've done or take an idea that we put on the screen and hold on to it and kind of dig it and love it for longer than just, 15 seconds or whatever it is incredible. Whenever I get tons of people asking me like, what's the actual best way to cook a steak? And I'm just like, wow, still, isn't this?
My mom refers to that scene all the time. I had it on once and like we're cooking and she's like, that just, every time we cook steaks, it just reminds me of Letterkenny. Like she brought that up.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so cool to be able to connect with people in a way that is relatable, number one, and also has, like you're saying, like not a shelf life that can go and people can still love it years later and still talk about it and still it's funny and it's not like, oh yeah, that fucking thing, I remember that was stupid, but I can still remember that. But to be like, yeah, fucking S&P, that's the choice for me, like that type of thing. Like I love that. I think that's so cool. And to be able, again, to just connect with people like that, I think that's amazing. And if you have a show that you can do that with, fuck, that's great. I love that. I think it's so cool.
And Michelle, there's so many kind of outrageous moments in Letterkenny. You look at a lot of the different scenes over the past, like with you and Ronzi with the speed dating and everything, is it one of those things where you can prepare yourself and go in and, be like, okay, let's go. We're not going to laugh and everything. But I feel like sometimes based on some of the things you're shooting, I mean, it might be impossible to not have a little smirk or a giggle. Like, did you get used to it season after season though?
Yeah, I mean, you never get used to it because it's like as much as you prepare, and we all come prepared for the most part, like everyone, knows what they're doing and they're like, okay, I got this. And like, I'm not breaking. It's like, I always am like, I'm not going to be the one who fucking breaks. I'm not doing it. But then you get in a position where you're like saying this stuff and some of the stuff we say or some of the stuff I've had to say, I can speak for myself, is so vulgar or like gross or the like the Valentine's Day episode. That's a great callback to that. So me sitting across from Mark Forward, the coach, and I'm just and I just know what he's doing. I know that he's trying to make me break, and that's like part of his fun. You know what I mean? So it's like we all are working together and we want the scene to happen. We want it to succeed, but there is like this kind of sadistic part of us that wants the other person to laugh. And like,
Nate, we did an Instagram live last year during the pandemic. And I think we talked about that. I was like, I feel bad for people that have to do like scenes of Mark. Like, I feel
Yeah, we did. That's Michelle hit it right on the head. It's fucking difficult to do a scene with Mark because he's He's very, very, very funny dude.
So funny.
One of the funniest dudes on the planet, in my opinion.
And so he, he wants to have he's in it for a whole good time, right? So he's there to do his job and be super professional and be on fucking point always. But he also wants to have some fun because we are making a comedy here, So he wants to break you down and see what's gonna fuck with you the most. So
That's a good way to put it, Nate. He wants to break you down. The Mark Forward story.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Michelle and Nathan, it was so great chatting with you about Letterkenny on Hulu season 10. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thanks
brother.
for
Great to see you.
having us.
Yeah. Good to see you. This is Michelle and Nathan about season 10 of Letterkenny on Hulu. Until next time, this is Nathan, Michelle, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.